right, I'm going to provide a run through of the page builder in AttractWell. And I'm going to start with how to build from a blank page and instead of using one of the templates. So when you go to pages in the menu, you will see that you can just hit add, and then all of these templates will pop up. And we've recently added quite a lot, so you can see like how many different options you have in here. So I'm going to start with blank just to walk you through all the different features on the page builder here, and then I'll show how to use some of the templates that are built into the system as well. So on your page, first you can see that you can turn the page header and menu on and off. This is the menu that's going to go across the top of your page, and it's going to include your logo in the upper left if you've uploaded a logo into the system. So if you don't want that, then you can turn that off and you won't have the menu across the top of the page. Same with the footer. If you've set a default footer in the system, then you can turn this on and it will be set to the default. You can go in here and change it to make sure it's set to default. And so if you've created a footer and set that as your default footer, that'll show up at the bottom of the page automatically. You won't have to add it to this page. If you turn that off, then there won't be a footer added to the bottom of your page, and then you might want to put one into your page design. So just know what these little toggles are, and you can kind of adjust things as you need. Then we're going to go into the page settings up here. So just a few things to take note of. This, where it says name, this is the internal name, so it's for your eyes only. Title bar text is what's going to show when you share this page. So you don't want it to say something like my homepage or homepage template or something like that, because that doesn't look super professional. Usually I would do something like your business name. There, your business name, and then a line, and then home, or something like that. You can also have a business slogan, something to that effect. And then link path is what's going to show up after yourdomain.com. So yourdomain.com / whatever you put in here. All right, and then over here, your sharing image. Sharing image is again going to show up if you were to post this page on social. This image is going to pull up when you do that. And sharing description is also going to show if you share this link on social. You'll see the title bar text, you'll see the description, and you'll see the sharing image. And then search engine description, it's similar to sharing description, but really you want to keep in mind keywords and phrases that someone might type into Google to find someone like you. So that takes some research. You need to spend some time learning what are the important keywords and phrases that you need to use to find your ideal client or customer, and be putting those in the correct spots on your site. But just know what this is, and you can also change it after too if you want to try something else. So those are just like the basic page settings when you're getting started. We'll go into these tabs later, but I just wanted to show you kind of how to get this all set up, and then we'll hit save on the page. I better call this something. Call it my test page for now, so I can hit save. All right, so now at the top here, we've got 3 different kind of editing modes. This little A here is for editing text and adding pictures. The little magic wand is for doing kind of fancier things, so adding shadows or rounding the corners on pictures or adjusting margins. And then this is for editing the amount of columns or the size of the columns in a section. Over here, we can preview phone, tablet, and large screen. So if you want to see how things are looking on these different types of screens, you can adjust there. Here we've got a little plus symbol. This is where we add sections. So we can hit that and we can now pick a section. So you can go through and think about, what kind of section do I want to start with? Maybe a header. I always encourage people to think about how many columns do you need this section to have? Because sometimes you see like 2 columns. So this is a 2-column section and this is a 2-column section, but this one has a picture and a button. However, this one could have a picture and a button. It really doesn't matter. They've just shown you an example of what you can put in the 2 columns, but they're essentially the same thing. Okay, so this one's already got a button on it, but you can add anything you want here. You can take away the button in the picture over here. It just matters how many columns there are. So really keep that in mind when you're picking a section. So I'm going to start with a header. Okay, so let's add a header to our top of our page, and maybe you put, a very gripping headline up here. And you can, when you click on this, because I'm in this editing mode here where I can edit text, I just click on it, and pretty straightforward. You can change the font, the size, bold, underline, all of those things. You can insert pictures by doing this, hyperlinks here. adding a video here. And if you want to add a button, so say we wanted a button underneath, I just want to make sure that all the text is highlighted here so that I can add a button. So I'm just going to enter so that I have a space here for my button. I'm going to hit more rich and I'm going to insert button. And now I have a button there. To edit the button, I'm going to hit edit link. And then here you can paste in your URL and change what the button says. If you want to link it to a page that's already in your system, you can hit this little drop down, and these are all your pages that are in your system already that you can then choose from. All right, so now some things about each section that you add to your page. You can see up here, there's this little kind of toolbar. If I hit the little pencil, then I can change the background on the section. So maybe I want it to be green. Okay, so these are all of my pre-built colors. So if you've already added your custom colors and fonts into the system, they'll show up down here, which is really handy. So you can add a picture. You can also add a video. So if I want to add a picture, I can go here and I can upload a picture right here, or I can grab one that's already in my system, or I can switch to video and grab a video as a background. I'll just leave it as solid green for now. Also, when I click on this little pencil here, I can adjust the padding. So the padding is right here, background padding. That's the space above and below the elements in this section. So you can see here, I can kind of space things out. That can be handy. If you feel like things are a little bit squished, you want to space it out a bit, then you can do that. If I were to put a picture background here, let's see if I can find one that's kind of generic. There we go. So if I put a picture background like this on my header image, so maybe I want to adjust how this background image is looking. So first, maybe I can switch it to cover, so it fills this whole space here. And now I can adjust the picture itself. So what part of the picture is showing on my header here. It doesn't, left and right doesn't work because it's the full width. But if I do this, then I can kind of adjust it. So that can be handy there. And then again, I can adjust my padding, and maybe I want more of the picture to show up. So I'm going to make it a bigger section. And you can also set it to be parallax. So parallax, well, I'll show you what it looks like without parallax first. So without parallax, it's just a static image. And if I switch it to parallax, and I add another section under it so that you can kind of see it, then you'll see that I can scroll on. Doesn't scroll yet. I need to add more pictures or something. It'll scroll past the picture. Basically, the picture, it looks like it's moving in a sense. So if I added another column here and just made this a bit bigger so I want you to be able to see it. There. Okay, so you see the parallax background, it moves. It doesn't actually move. The background itself is static and the text is scrolling past it, but it just looks like there's movement on the page, which is cool. All right, so if you like that effect, you can add in some parallax images to the background of your sections. Okay, so then we can add other sections. So maybe the next section is going to be a 2-column section, which I've added in here. And again, if I want to add something to the left column, then again, I can go in here and maybe I want to add a picture. So I'm going to hit the little add picture thing here and I'll add a picture of myself. If I hit this button here, I can hit enlarge to full width on this picture. Now it's a really large picture. Maybe I want the picture to be a square shape. So I'm going to go to advanced edit. So if you missed what I did there, because I did it really fast, I click on the picture and I hit advanced edit and I can crop it. So this can be handy to kind of make pictures the right shape for the space that they're in. Now I have a square. Just let that load there. All right, so now that I have the square there, I can go over to this little magic wand at the top and click on my image. And there's a few things I can do to this image. First of all, I can go to rounded corners and I can make it rounded. Ooh. And then I can go down to drop shadow and I can add a drop shadow. Now you can also adjust the drop shadow. You can adjust the intensity. You can make it go a little bit to the left or a little bit up or down. And you can also adjust the opacity and the color of the shadow there. So you can play around with that and how you want it to look. Also, when I hit the little magic wand and I click on an element, so in this case, I click on this picture, I can also add animation. So if I want this picture to, say, fade in from the left, I'll hit fade in left. And when I view There it goes. Okay, so now this, I find this picture is a bit close to the top section. I'm going to add a little padding there because I don't like things to be squished together on pages. So there, add a little bit of padding there. I can take the text out under the photo by switching back to this A up here, and I meant to delete that. Okay, so now I've got a section over here. Maybe I want to add some text. For the sake of this demonstration, I'm just gonna copy and paste and just work that down. But you know, some things you can do here is this first section of text, I can go over to more paragraph and hit header 2 and switch it to a header. Some other things that you can do is maybe underneath it, you want a subheading. So maybe I want to hit heading 4 and then have this all be body text down here. So you can play with that. If you want the text to be a bit bigger, you can just highlight it and adjust it that way. And if you find that formatting is hard, maybe you've copy and pasted in from another document. What I find useful too, if I'm copying and pasting text in from another document, is to copy or highlight it all first, then go to more text and hit clear formatting, which is here. And it just gives you kind of a fresh palette, a clean slate to deal with, because sometimes when you copy and paste, you're bringing in formatting that makes things kind of funky looking over here and things might not be working the way you want. So you can kind of just get a fresh start by clearing the formatting and then format it in AttractWell the way you want it to be. And then maybe I want a button here. So I'm going to go again to more rich and insert a button. All right. So now what if I want a pop-up on this page? I'm going to hit save and we're going to add a pop-up. So the first thing we're going to do is go to this button here and I'm going to make the URL #lead, not Letta, lead. And maybe this is going to be, yes, I want the free guide. Maybe you've created a PDF or something. I don't want that to open in a fresh tab. So we've created a button and it says #lead as the URL. So now in the settings, we're going to go to the leads tab. And over here, we want the lead capture form to show in a pop-up. And we want the message on the lead capture form. Over here, you can say, yes, I want the guide or whatever it is, adjust your button color. And down here, lead capture form shows, and you can have what is going to be in the pop-up, name, email, phone. In this box up here, you can add picture and text as well. So for this, I'll just add this picture so you can see where it goes. And then what to do after a lead registers. You want to choose a campaign. So if you haven't created a campaign, you can go do that and then come back and link this up. The campaign is going to deliver the free thing. Or if it was just a contact form, it's going to give them confirmation. Or maybe it's a booking or something like that. You basically create the email you want to fire off in a campaign and link it up here. Tag them in your system and send them somewhere. So where are you sending them after they opt in for this thing? If they're opting in for a free booking, maybe you want to send them to your Calendly link right here. If it's just a free guide or something that they're getting, maybe you want to send them to a thank you page that tells them to go check their email. So you can then redirect them somewhere here. Then we hit save, view, and when I go to this button, here's the pop-up. Okay, so that's how you create a pop-up on your page. And then basically you're building out your page section by section in the way that you want your page to flow. And once you've laid it out on desktop, then I suggest going section by section and just see how it's looking on mobile. If you need to make adjustments, so for example, this first section here, the text is really big on mobile, so maybe I don't like that. So what I can do is turn it off on mobile. I can duplicate this section here, turn this one on for mobile and off for big screen, and then adjust the text. So it's maybe I like everything about this section, but I just want the text to be more reasonable. So first I'm going to switch it to single space, and I'm going to make the font just a bit smaller, maybe a lot smaller. And let's do something like that. And let's see how that's looking. I can also probably reduce the padding on mobile. And if we view, there. So maybe that looks a bit more reasonable. The text is a little bit hard to read on the background. So if you find that that's an issue, what you can do is again, hit the magic wand here and just highlight what you want to change. So I could just pick the one text section or this one, or I could do the whole box. I'm going to do the whole box. And I can go up here and I can actually add a blur the image behind the text, or I can add opacity and actually make the box a little bit white. You can see how that looks. Now the text is easier to read because I've blurred that image behind. So you can do things like that to just make things look the way you want. All right, so that's just sort of a basic run through of the page builder and some of the features. I'll be breaking down some of these in other videos and talking about more complicated things in other videos as well. If you're looking to create a website with AttractWell, make sure you check out my 3 resources. First, my ebook on how to create a beautiful website that walks you through all the steps and layouts and SEO tips that you need to set up a gorgeous website. You can also visit my website template shop where I sell AttractWell and Get Oiling website templates and bundles. And lastly, make sure you check out my website workshop where I provide all the tutorials and templates and step-by-step guidance that you need to get your website fully up and running.